Hey everybody, this is Tony, Tainted Lord A7, and here's 10 random current favorite thrash metal albums in my collection. While most of it while most of it is thrash metal, some of it are not like full on thrash. Um some of these albums do mix other genres, but the majority of my 10 random current favorites are mostly thrash metal. So yeah, I'm just going to show off those 10 albums. So let's go straight to it. The first one is from an EP from Metallica that I don't think a lot of people talk about or bring up. And this is the Metallica, the 598 EP Garage Days We Revisited. Yeah, this is a smaller EP that was originally released back during the late 80s during the Master of Puppets era and features five cover songs that covers bands like Diamond Head, The Misfits, Killing Joke, and other two bands that I'm not too familiar with. But yeah, just a really small, fun little EP where Metallica literally covers these songs by those aforementioned three bands that I mentioned: Diamond Head, The Misfits, and Killing Joke. And there's two others on here that I'm not too familiar with, but overall, this is a nice, fun little EP from Metallica that has that raw, punky, aggressive thrash metal sound. Just a really fun little EP, and I really do think Metallica during this time really do a good job at covering all five of these songs on this smaller EP. So yeah, the Metallica, the 598 EP Garage Days we revisited is a small, fun little deep dive into Metallica's past in the late 80s. And while it's not really mandatory to have, I do find this to be a fun, thrashy cover overall. So yeah, nice little EP from Metallica. Okay, next up is a release from the big thrash metal bands from Germany, and that's Creator's Outcast. I'm pretty sure everybody knows who Creator are. They're like one of the big names in German thrash metal. They've been around since like the 80s and are highly influential. But I feel like Outcast doesn't get as much love or admiration as it should have been. Or basically what I'm trying to say is that Creators Outcast is a very underappreciated album. While it by no means will beat out classic albums from Creator like Pleasure to Kill, Coma of Souls, Extreme Aggression. Of the 90s albums, I think Outkast is a pretty overlooked album. I feel like this is more of a heavy metal ish sounding album with some groove metal elements and, of course, some thrash metal elements. And overall, I just don't think this album is as bad as Creator fans make it out to be. It's still a pretty good album, it's just different. It's not like full blown thrash. It definitely has some heavy metal, groove metal elements, and overall, I think Creator's Outcast is definitely an overlooked album, and should be, more more appreciative of this album. So yeah, Creator's Outcast is definitely an album that more fans should be talking about, and I enjoy it for what it is. It may not beat up the '80s classics, but I really do think this is a good album from Creator. So yeah, Creator's Outcast, definitely an overlooked and underappreciated album from the late '90s. Okay, the next one is a band that I don't think gets talked about too much, but I do really enjoy this band, and that's Prong. and this is the album X No Absolutes. Now, Prong are more famous for the album Cleansing, and and honestly, that's probably the only album I really know from Prong. Cleansing was like a groove metal, industrial metal classic, but I think X No Absolutes definitely has elements of thrash metal moments and some groove metal moments, and definitely some mid-paced heavy metal moments. While Prong's X No Absolutes is no means a full-on thrash metal album, I do believe that this album definitely has some elements of thrash metal, groove metal, and some mid-paced heavy metal moments, and it's just a really fun and energetic album. And definitely an album from Prong that I don't hear a lot of fans talk about that much. This is very underrated and very underappreciative, but I don't know, I really enjoy it for what it is. So yeah, Prong's X No Absolutes is a mix of thrash metal, groove metal, and some solid heavy metal moments, and it's just a fun, aggressive album. So yeah, Prong's X No Absolutes. Definitely an album that more people and the fans should really check out. Okay, next up is from a band I don't hear a lot of people talk about, and while this band was completely new to me, I enjoy it for what this is, and that's High Command, Beyond the Wall of Desolation. Now, this is a really awesome thrash metal crossover album that really does remind me if SOD was more of a thrashier band than they already are. Like, this has a lot of mid-paced thrashy stompers, like the whiz of crushing, and just makes you want to headbang. And it's very heavy and aggressive and has that punkish attitude in the songwriting, at least to my ears. Kind of like a marching band of death just storming through a battlefield of dead bodies and destruction. Just a really crushing, heavy, thrashy crossover album that has some very solid heavy riffs and aggressive attitude, and it's just a heavy, aggressive album overall. And yeah, High Command's Beyond the Wall of Desolation is just a banger of an album. And that's an album that more people should check out. And High Command is just a very, very good band in bringing that attitude and aggression in their music, at least on this album. But yeah, High Command Beyond the Wall of Desolation. Just an awesome thrash metal hardcore crossover album overall. Really good stuff. Okay, next up is another band I don't hear a lot of people talk about, and that's Gumomaniacs by Endurance Reconquer, Demons and Damnation. Now, Gumomaniacs are very, very underrated German thrash metal. Yeah, very underrated German thrash metal band. And this album by Endurance Reconquer, Demons and Damnation is actually a double album. Yeah, a double album. The first one, Demons, was from 2014, and the second disc, Damnation, was actually from 2016. So I guess you could call this a double album, compilation album. But whatever it is, it's a very, very fun thrash metal album. Guma Maniacs by Endurance Reconquer, Demons and Damnation is just a fun, thrashy banger of a compilation, I guess. Just a lot of fun. Just a lot of fun, heavy, aggressive, thrashy songs on both discs, and it's just really fun and aggressive, and it's just a very exciting release. And I feel like Guma Maniacs really displayed a lot of heaviness and aggression on this compilation, I guess. And definitely a band that I feel um, more metalheads should check out if you want some awesome German thrash metal full of riffs, solos, aggression, and attitude. And yeah, this album is just packed full of that. So yeah, Gmu Maniacs by Endurance, We Conquer, Demons and Damnation. Definitely a great album to introduce new fans to, in my opinion. Really good stuff. Okay, the next two albums are from the same band, and that band is Destruction, Born to Perish. I think everybody who's into thrash metal knows who Destruction are. They're like a very influential 80s German thrash metal band that's still putting out killer releases of awesome thrash metal. And Born to Perish is another barn burner of an album. This album just rips, full of riffs, solos, attitude, and aggression. And it's just a fun album overall. Destruction's Born to Perish is just an awesome thrash metal album, and shows that these old dudes still got it. Really great thrash metal album overall. So that's Destruction's Born to Perish. Next up is Destruction, Spiritual Genocide. Just like Born to Perish, this is another awesome, aggressive thrash metal album this this German legend. Stylistically, I don't think it's too different from Born to Perish, but Spiritual Genocide is just another fun, awesome, aggressive thrash metal album from this German legend. Just a great album overall, and I really highly recommend it. So yeah, Destruction's Spiritual Genocide, another great thrash metal album from this band. Okay, next up is Sepultura's Kairos. And I think this album is very underrated. When it comes to Sepultura's later albums, I feel like Kairos doesn't get much love or recognition as it deserves. And to me, this is actually a pretty good album from Sepultura. Just a lot of mid-paced thrash songs overall, and a lot of heavy metal moments here and there to me. But yeah, I do think this is a mid-paced a mid-paced thrash metal album, and it's just a really good album overall. And this album also features a cover of Ministry's "Just One Fix," which I think they did an awesome job with. And yeah, just overall, this is a very underrated album from Sepultura during the later era of their career. And Kairos is definitely an album that deserves more attention from Sepultura and their fans. So yeah, a good album from Sepultura. So that's Sepultura's Kairos. Just a solid mid-paced thrash metal album overall. Really good stuff. Okay, the next three albums are from the same band, and these three albums I feel gets a little bit overlooked, but I do enjoy them for what they are. The first one is Slayer's Divine Intervention. I think this is the last Slayer album. Yeah, the last Slayer album where they went balls out thrash metal before they went into the whole groove metal, new metal route. But yeah, I think this is the last full-on thrash metal album that Slayer ever released. Slayer's Divine Intervention is just chaotic, energetic, full of mayhem, and just riffs and solos that will make your head banging as quickly as possible. And for some reason, this album was very underrated. I don't understand that. Like, this is just a very, very awesome album from Slayer, and I think more people should be talking about this. But overall, Slayer's Divine Intervention is just a very fun, aggressive thrash metal album from the 90s, and the last truly great Slayer album in my eyes. So, yeah, Slayer's Divine Intervention. Really good stuff. Okay, next up is Slayer's War Painted Blood. I think this is a really good album from Slayer. This was when they went back to, you know, being a a top tier thrash metal band. Yeah, while will not beat out the classic albums from the 80s and early 90s, I think Slayer's War Painted Blood is just a solid thrash metal album overall. In terms of modern thrash, this is a pretty good album. I really enjoy it, and there's a lot of good aggressive songs on here. So, yeah, overall, Slayer's War Painted Blood is definitely one of the better albums this late in Slayer's career, and I really enjoy it. So, yeah, Slayer's War Painted Blood, really good stuff. And the last album that I'm going to show off in this video is Slayer's Diabolus in Musica. Now, admittedly, I didn't think this album was that bad. This album was very critical among critics and fans, and at first I didn't really hear why, but the more I listen to it, the more I can understand why this album doesn't get as much love from fans and critics. I feel like this album's just, you know, okay, you know. There's some good riffs, some good solos, but I think it just kind of fails in comparison to the previous albums. It's just I feel like Slayer's kind of adapting the whole new metal style in their songwriting on here, and it just didn't really work out. While there's a few songs on here that I do enjoy, I just think this is just an okay album from Slayer. Diabolus in Musica is just decent, has a few good songs on here, but overall, not my all-time favorite, but still not a bad album. It's okay for what it is. So yeah, Slayer's Diabolus in Musica, just an okay album from this band. They will surely write better albums over this one, but it's a okay release, I guess. And that's it. Those are 10 random current favorite thrash metal albums for this video. Hopefully everyone enjoys it. Let me know what you think, and don't know when my next video is going to come out, but hopefully everyone enjoys this one. Thanks for watching.